Alright, so we're moving on to the next chapter of the Universal Monster AU, and as you can see right here, this time around, this is Randy Cunningham, the Wolfman. So, yeah. Now, it's like, I know I've been building on this, and I've still got a little way to go before it all comes together. Yeah. I do want to say that, like, I was kind of like, really? People got confused by the Phantom of the Opera thing? And to which I will say that, like, I should have had a better title. I just couldn't think of one. But no, it had nothing to do with the Phantom of the Opera Ladybug crossovers I had done previously. This is like an AU. I know some people picked up on it, but I just wanted to, like, clarify. And I've done this before, but it never... I like to come back and sometimes I like to come back and redo old stories. Because I can. It's my fucking channel. I can do that, and yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about. So let's get into this story with Randy Cunningham, the Wolfman. So the story begins during the Civil War. Like, we are neck deep in the Civil War, and essentially what it is that Randy and Howard and a few other boys from the town of Norrisville have been conscripted into the Confederacy to fight under the Fightin' McFist Brigade. Colonel Hannibal McFist is leading the charge against the Union, the war of Union aggression and all that. Cunningham, on the other hand, is kind of like, he comes from a family that's like, while they're from the South, they're just like, this is some bullshit. Like, for those who are unaware, there was actually, like, a good number, not to say that everyone's like that, but, like, a good number of people in the South who are like, wait, we're doing what now? What? Are we doing what now? Wait, we're gonna get our ass kicked. And in here, the Cunningham family was among them. So no, they weren't fighting to hold slaves, because they were just a bunch of poor dirt farm. It was a farming family. They didn't want slaves. But Cunningham and Howard and the others got conscripted to fight to fight for the Confederacy under Colonel McFist. So Randy and them are fighting in the midst of war, and they keep, they've been fighting Union soldiers, but it's like 2 years into this war, and he's already like, this is going to be a lost cause. Like, we're winning fights and all, but, like, this is not a long-term thing. They know that's going to happen. But, however, that changes during the events of Sherman's March, where General Sherman is, of course, burning his way through Georgia. So McFist, in retaliation, cooks up something just downright evil, where he goes around to towns with a predominant slave community and African American community, and proceeds to, like, rather than have them run off to join to Sherman's arms, he's having them all slaughtered and killed, because he's just like, when this war's over and we win, we can always go to Africa and get more. Yeah. If you thought McFist in the show was bad, this AU McFist is so much worse. But so Randy and the other soldiers are forced to, like, commit these horrible crimes, but Randy refuses. Howard is like, I don't want to do this either. But Randy's very vocal. Like, he throws down his gun before McFist and says, like, I'm not doing it. Like, I refuse to kill. These are civilians. And he goes, and McFist goes, they're not civilians, they're property. You can shoot. It's no different from shooting cattle, son. To which Randy refuses. He throws his gun down, and he basically is committed. He's gonna get, he's like, I don't care if you court-martial me. I'm not doing. He's like, and McFist goes, son, there's no court-martial here in my brigade. We make examples. So what happens is that Randy gets tied to a post, gets horribly whipped by this specialized barbed wire whip that just cleaves off skin from his back. He gets burned. He gets burned by a cattle prod. And to add insult to injury, his parents are burned alive inside their own house. So he loses his family. He gets he's horribly beaten to near death and tossed tossed into a swamp for the alligators to eat him. However, what happens is that while he's just dying on the side, dying there, full of rage and whatnot, a large creature just comes out of the swamp and attacks him. But he loses consciousness after the thing bites him. So he wakes up the next day thinking he died, like, oh my god, how am I not dead? And he finds himself in the house of a man named S. Ward Smith. So Smith is in the show, he was like a kind of mentor to Randy. But in here, he's a escaped slave who found Randy after he was killed. He was nearly killed, and he basically says, "What you came across last night was the Rougarou, the Louisiana werewolf." And he's like, "I don't believe in monsters, sir." And he's like, "Really? Because you've been fighting for some for a while." And he's like, Randy basically says, like, all I feel now is just anger and rage because at what McFist has done to me. But however, Smith basically warns him, like, what's the plan here? Like, what's your plan exactly? Because I can tell what's going to happen. You're going to go coming out of the swamp full of piss and vinegar, and McFist is going to finish what he started. And Smith has got a axe to grind with McFist because a lot of his family was basically his entire family was killed off by under McFist's orders. So Randy now proceeds to, like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, the Rougarou, some would say that's a curse that the Rougarou put on you, but for me, I think that's a gift. I think you got a gift, son, and I'm gonna teach you how to use that gift. So 3 years have passed. The Civil War is over. Of course, the South fell, but McFist is still alive. He's actually living in pretty good. He's actually saves a lot of money, invested in a lot of technology and whatnot to help him. He did lose an arm during the war, and he still has Viceroy working for him. But Viceroy is more of a what is known as a house slave. But he gets a little more privilege. He's kind of like how Viceroy in here is kind of like Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django Unchained. That's the best way to describe him. So in here, the years have rolled by, and out of nowhere, McFist has got a good, made a good cushy investment in himself, in his work. And McFist Industries, he's gone from a general to an entrepreneur in the South, and he basically runs some pretty cruel, factories. One day, he hears that his stepson, that did survive the war, was found brutally mauled by an animal. Like they said, a large animal came out of the swamp and ripped him apart. And what happened is that they find the body. It's horribly mangled, and it's almost Bash's friends basically said, like, it looked like the animal was doing it on purpose. So that basically enrages McFist. He goes out on a hunt. He finds nothing, but he does see, like, there was signs that an animal had been around. There's an animal, but what's weird is especially the tracks. Like, the tracks the animal left behind are almost like he looks at it as he thinks it's 2 feet, but no, it's like 4. He thinks it's 4 feet, but no, it's really like 2 feet that were the footprints. But he loses the trail. Even the dogs he brought, they're scared out of their minds, and he's like, what kind of animal could scare my dogs? So days go by, more people mainly from McFist, his paid employees that are like the foremans and stuff like that, they're being found and being slaughtered, like just being ripped apart by an animal. And Norrisville's now scared, but at the same time they're still like fuck McFist. So any man who if it hurts McFist, then we'll deal with it. during one night at a gala, at a Halloween gala, a McFist throws a Halloween gala to basically like calm everyone's nerves. Like, there's no wild animal, there's no like quote unquote werewolf out out in the swamps of Norrisville. So what happens is that this stranger comes walking in, and and it's Randy. It's Randy. He's got a nice suit. He looks like he has money. He's got a lot, and he's basically like showcasing himself. And among the people who are there is Howard. And Howard, like, he's like, "Hello, hi Howard. You look like you've seen a ghost." He's like, "Holy shit, Cunningham, you're alive! I thought you were you were dead. I looked for you in the swamp for like 2 days. I thought the gators got you." And he's like, "No, you could say I died there and I was reborn, He's like, "What, you found God or something?" He goes, "I found myself. You'll understand soon." So Randy basically shows off all the money he's made and all that, and he doesn't blame Howard. Like, he basically says, like, "I know you tried to look for me, but I couldn't, I couldn't let you get into this what I've been trying to do." And he's like, "So what's been going on with you?" And he goes, "Well, my family has to go work for that. My family ended up working for the McFists, and it's been tough. Like, he doesn't pay a lot. He's basically bleeding this town dry." And he's like, "Don't worry, that'll change soon." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You'll see." So Randy leaves. He also encounters another person who's kind of higher up in the higher echelons and brushing elbows with McFist, and that is the Fowler family, specifically Teresa Fowler. And he's just like, and he goes, "Is that satin you're wearing, ma'am?" And she's like, "Yeah, how could you tell?" And he's like, "I got a good nose." So they have a nice dance and all that. But during this, Randy sees McFist come down the stairs greeting everyone, and he's also he also sees that he's only got one arm, and he's like, "Ah, bastard lost it. Good, the bastard's gonna hurt, but not as much as I'm gonna hurt him." But he also sees McFist walking around with the basic wolf head cane from the original movie, like the silverhead wolf cane. And he goes on about telling this story about how ages ago the McFist family made this cane in the annals of somewhere deep in Europe to as a sign of their power and whatnot. But really, he just thinks it looks cool. And to which Randy says in the middle of it, "Oh yeah, it's clear that the McFist family comes from a line of great men, great killers, slaughterers, racists, pieces of dog shit." And everyone looks at Randy, and McFist is like, "It can't be Private Cunningham," and it goes, "It's Randy, and good people of Norrisville, you higher echelons, you've all eaten well. This will be your last feast. Be ready." So Randy departs, and as the night grows longer, the people in the mansion hear a long howl outside, and they're like, "It's the wolf! The wolf! The monster's here! The Rougarou's here!" So Randy comes busting in as the Wolfman, just completely tearing people apart left and right, and he has to use the werewolf to aim himself. So the reason why he was looking for Howard and Teresa was to get their sense, so he would recognize the wolf side of him, would recognize them and keep them alive. And he just tears his way through everybody, and he's about to get at McFist, but then Viceroy comes in with a gun and shoots Randy in the shoulder. It's a silver bullet, and he has to he's wounded and flees, and he's like, "Huh. Well, look at that. The thing's got a problem with silver." And McFist is looking at his cane like, "Oh, really?" So Randy leaves. He gets back to Smith, who's been helping him this whole time, and he's like, "Yeah, you should have you should have known they would have been packing silver, boy." He's like, "Yeah, well, I wanted to get it done and kill him sooner than later." But yeah. So Ward basically tells him, "You gotta wait a whole day to heal, and before you can transform back, to get the silver poisoning out of your body. And sure enough, during the daytime, McFist has shown up in the swamp again with, guns full of silver bullets, and Randy can't transform until the nightfall. So they flee. So him and Smith flee, but Smith does get killed, and that's when Randy, when he's fleeing, he runs into another person, Catfish Boo-Ray, and it's revealed Boo-Ray was the Rougarou who bit him, and he wanted to rule the swamp. He actually tried to kill Randy. He tried to eat Randy when he met him those so many years ago, but Ward, drove him off. But now he's like, you looks like you grew strong, little pup. I want, you and me, we could be unstoppable. We could rule this swamp. And Randy's like, hard pass. When the night comes, Randy and Catfish get into a fight. Randy kills Catfish in the fight, and not only that, takes all of his stuff that he's been collecting, because as the Rougarou of the Norrisville swamp, McFist has been collecting a lot. Boo-Ray has been collecting a lot of gold and money and other trinkets. Randy takes all that for himself, and he also finds Wolfsbane, which Ward tells him that Wolfsbane can help a werewolf in many different ways. In this continuity, it's not like a repellent. In here, it's basically it could be used as healing leaves. It could be used as more importantly, if you rub it on your fur, if you rub it on your skin, it can be used as a temporary. It's not a permanent, but it is a temporary block from being killed by silver, being killed by anything by silver. So that's what Randy does. But at that time, when he's getting ready for his final fight with McFist, he's gearing up for it. He hears a knock on the door, and he now has a gun now. He pulls out. He's like, "Can I help you, sir?" And he's like, "Oh, damn, I'm sorry. I was looking for Mr. Boo-Ray. Is he still here?" And he's like, "Nah, he's dead." Pity, but I think you can help me too. And he's like, "Oh, really? And you are?" "Oh, excuse me. I am Don Marco Diaz. Pleased to make your acquaintance, sir." He's like, "You McFist sent you?" And he's like, "Oh, that blowhard. I was at his party, and I saw you. You're the Rougarou, aren't you?" He's like, "I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm not what you think." Oh, cut the dramatics. And he's like, "We're all monsters here, are we not?" And Randy looks over at a broken mirror, and he sees no reflection. He's like, "The fuck are you?" And he goes, "Like you. I think you and I can help each other, but..." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll talk to you some other time. The answer is no right now. I need to get rid of I am looking for some revenge." And he's like, McFist, maybe we can help each other out. You see, McFist has something I want, and considering you killed the person that I wanted to meet, maybe if I help you, you can listen to my proposal." And he's like, "Sure, whatever. I don't know what you are, but if you want to help me kill McFist, perfect." So Marco and Randy team up. They go back to the mansion, and now Randy's gone into full werewolf mode. Marco actually conjures a storm to use as cover for Randy, as he's because now the whole mansion is filled with mercenaries and armed guards with silver bullets, and Randy and Marco just proceed to slaughter their way through multiple armed mercenaries until he finds McFist, and McFist is got his gun drawn, and he's like, I know what you are. I was your commanding officer. I was a god in the South." And he goes, "No, you're fucking..." And to which Marco's talking for Randy, because he's of course he's a werewolf, he can't talk. And Marco's like, "God, you look more like dog food, sir." And sure enough, Randy just pounces on him and just starts ripping him apart. Viceroy tries to make a getaway, but Marco's like, "You'll have to forgive me. It's been a long trip for me, and I'm starving." Eats Viceroy. And among all this, Teresa, who was there with her family, she sees Randy, and Marco's like, "You want seconds? Because I'm feeling peckish." And Randy, who still has a little bit of human in him, is like gets in front of him, is like growling at Marco to keep him away. He's like, you see. Well, I think it's time for us to leave. So Marco like whisks them both away, and Teresa's just kind of left like, what the fuck was all of that? So later, the next day, when Randy transforms back into his human self, Marco is waiting for him in he's waiting for him in like a dark room, and he's like, Mr. Cunningham, right? Well, I helped you. Now now I want an audience with you. And he's like, well, what do you want? What do you want from me? And he's like, the world's changing, and as you can see, humanity's not getting any better. I've been here for a long time, and I'm seeing that humanity is only going to get worse. So perhaps it's time for a new era of a new species. And he goes, what age are you talking about? And he goes, the age of monsters. You want to join in? I've got some friends who would love to meet you. So that's where we leave off. That is Randy Cunningham, the Wolfman. You guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of this? I've been really having a lot of fun building this Universal Monster / Disney AU storyline. It's been a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun building these stories. Yeah, but other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.